Maurice Williamson.
Mr Speaker, I intend to title my speech today Contra Vera Nihil Obstat, which, sir, is Latin for against fact there is no argument. And, sir, today I want to present just a few facts to the Labour opposition which I think will fair and squarely contradict so much of the waffle and the debate that has gone on without actually allowing the facts to ever interfere with a good story. Sir, I was proud to sit in this House for my 25th budget in the Parliament and to listen to Bill English present a budget in some of the most difficult economic times I have ever experienced in this country, and to still keep the ship well and truly afloat with a good direction on it and with a good forecast for the future. Not a future like Greece has got, not a future like Portugal or others who are on the verge of straight collapse have got, sir, but actually things like growth rates. And I want to remind members, because I was looking through the comparison of growth rates. Now, for those people out there who don't think economic growth matters, they're wrong. Economic growth is vital for a nation, or you will never be able to fund the services such as education and health that are required. So I had a look at what is the world's economic forecast for growth, and I think it's really important. In the budget, we are forecasting, even with a zero budget and all the constraints that we face, around 3% economic growth per annum. Now, you'd have to say that if the others were doing 4 or 5 or 6%, then New Zealand's a failure and we should be embarrassed. So I had a look. Let me have a look at what the growth rates are forecast. In Europe, sir, and I'm talking about Europe as a whole, the whole of Europe's economic growth forecast is for around half of 1%. Half. That's a sixth, sir, of what we're forecasting. The United Kingdom is doing a little bit better. It's about 1% economic growth. 1%, sir. Japan, that mighty economic powerhouse of the past, 1.5%. And the United States and Canada are again countries we used to look to and go, wow, just on 2%. So, sir, at a time when New Zealand has come through some of its worst economic conditions, when the global financial crisis has wiped out a whole lot of the financial institutions and others, to be forecasting 3% growth, sir, is outstanding. Now, I want to remind members about what the 4 key priorities out of the government's policy and out of the budget were, and then go through them. First of all was the responsibility for managing the government's finances. And, sir, I think that some of the initiatives that Bill English has taken of recent years, such as the tax switch, have been fantastic for this nation. And I am really proud that we've done so. And what I want to do is counteract a few of the absolute myths that lie out there, sir, about our tax system. You know what the one is that I bet you members on this side here almost daily? Oh, I reckon the rich should pay more. I reckon the rich should pay more. Well, let me give you the numbers, and these are out of the fact sheet from the budget so that members can work out whether that's true or not. Sir, if we take the number of people in New Zealand who earn over $150,000, oh, and by the way, I better make sure that these numbers don't include the working for family subsidies coming back, because they would make these numbers even worse in terms of what I'm about to tell the House. But if we take those people who earn over $150,000 in this country, sir, there are only 2% of income earners that do. Only 2%. And what do they pay of the income tax take? 19%, sir, of the income tax. And if you want to take the cumulative effect, yes, it is fair enough. It is fair enough. But don't argue about the rich don't pay their share, sir. Don't argue the rich don't pay their share. 2% of income earners pay 19. Let's take the cumulative numbers for the 100,000 and above. There's a bigger number in that category. There is about 6% of all New Zealanders earn over 100,000. And they pay 34%. 6% pay 34% of the tax. Now, I'm not saying that's wrong, sir. No, I'm not. I am not saying that's wrong. What I'm saying, sir, is don't say the rich don't pay their share, because 6% pay 34%, and that member better get with the program. say again, Mr Speaker, if you'd put the corrections for the transfers back to the lower incomes of working for families, those numbers get even worse. And based on a calculation I saw from David Farrell last year, when he put those payments back into the schedule, it comes to something like the top 10% of income earners pay 90% of all net income tax. So, sir, I have to say that this budget was a great budget, but for a number of other reasons. For example, the government has decided that there are areas where we could really put some expenditure in and get a fantastic return, and one of those would be science and innovation. And I was really, really delighted when I heard the Finance Minister reading the budget and putting $385 million of money over 4 years into science and innovation. That's more than $1.3 billion a year we will now be spending. That's a $385 million increase. So we'll be spending about $1.3 billion a year by 2015-16 on science and innovation. Developing products, developing services, developing smart things we can sell to the world. Because there isn't a member of this House, well actually no, I exclude the Greens because they're on Planet Green, they don't even accept this, that New Zealand can only make its future by selling at the high end of the value-added product line, and we will never make our existence or our survival by selling at the bottom end of the whatever. And if I talk about the parties and their views of it, sir, what I want to talk about now are the sort of those big headline issues. Because in the budget, and leading up to the budget for the last few years, the national government has made some very strong calls about making the economy work. First of all, intensification and development of our agriculture sector, sir. Things like irrigation. And if members don't understand the impact of irrigation, they need to just go out and start watering a bit of their grass for a few days just in the same spot and watch what happens to the productive nature of land if you can irrigate it. And sir, if you can irrigate huge tracts of the South Island, for example, using the water from the rivers and so on, but guess what? That's where we'd get our economic growth. That's where we'd get our ability to pay for a whole lot of the services that members of this House want the country to have. And yet the Labor opposition and the Greens on Planet Green all are opposed to intensification and opposed to the irrigation schemes. Now we come to one of the things that I think is a real cracker here. We regularly, as clockwork from the other side, get the comparison with Australia, how well Australia's doing and how hopeless we are getting. You know, how Planet Australia is just booming and Planet New Zealand's failing. Well, guess what? Wayne Swan, their treasurer, will tell you this. If you ask him, I've spoken, he'll tell you straight away, sir, that the biggest driver of the Australian economy is mining and minerals resources. In fact, they openly admit across the Tasman that they've got a dual economy. Their normal economy is pretty flat. It's pretty dull. There's unemployment. It's struggling. But what is there bringing them into the sunshine? What is keeping them going is their minerals and their mining. Well, I agree. I agree with Wayne Swan. I can't believe I'm saying it, but I agree with a Labor minister in the government. Wayne Swan was right. But what do we get here? Yeah, we want to compare ourselves to Australia. We want to have the levels of employment. We want to have those young, unskilled Māori and Pacific Islanders have jobs. But, we aren't prepared to mine any of our minerals. No. We'll let them do it. Oh, well, guess what? Where will those young people go for a job? They'll have to go there if we can't do the mining and mineral exploration, sir. And no wonder there is a drift because of that limitation. And then we get members in this House saying about how dreadful welfare reform is. Sir, I don't know how anybody can think that a social welfare reform system that we have right now, which is paying hundreds of thousands of working-age people to do nothing, is acceptable. I agree with a welfare system being there to help the vulnerable. I agree with it being there to help those in need. I agree with it to being a hand out only for a short period. But it has to be a hand up over a longer period. And sir, I congratulate Paula Bennett and the work she's doing for trying to get some real sanity into our welfare debate, to trying to get some real outcomes so that those people on welfare are actually looked after. Sir, I think this is a great budget. I'm proud of it and I'm delighted.
Order. I call the Honourable Ruth Dyson.
Thank you very much.